Jack in Denver. Hey, Jack, thanks for listening to 760 AM. What's up?
Hey, Tom, long-time listener.
Thank you.
I think I talked to you a couple of times. Dominic had called there, and just a clarification on that.
With regard to police and the use of force?
Yeah. That they don't, the protocol is pretty much universal. If they, he was on the right track, if the situation has to require deadly force, and you were also correct in that it's also you use the minimum amount of force necessary to effect the arrest or to stop the unlawful activity.
Are you a police officer?
However, I am.
Okay, so you know this stuff. Continue.
I am. Yeah, 3 decades. So if the situation does justify using deadly physical force, then the protocol is to shoot to stop the unlawful activity, and not necessarily to kill. Of course, oftentimes it results in that.
Right.
But that's the critical point. Not the police don't shoot to kill necessarily. There are times, headshots and hostage situations. That's different.
Right. So, as a police officer, have you seen the videotape of this?
I have not. I've only read the news article. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. All right. I would have been very curious to hear your thoughts on it because like I said, I'm very reluctant. I went through the Georgia Police Academy back when the Olympics came to Atlanta and they opened it to civilians for the very first time ever. And I was working on a book on private detectives, and an old friend, DeWitt Wanamaker, who was a long-time southern rural Georgia sheriff, small-town sheriff, and was working as a PI. He got me in, and I actually went through the Georgia Police Academy, and earned a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for people who are in law enforcement. And
it's an eye-opener.
Yeah, I mean, when you see it from the inside, you realize there's really good people doing some really, really hard work and having to make life and death decisions in a split second. And in that whole context, it's really difficult to criticize somebody who's got a 3,000-pound car coming at them at 70 miles an hour doing anything, to criticize whatever their behavior is. That said, go ahead.
That was a very key point, Tom, too, because there's constitutional case law that specifies precisely that. You can't judge, a citizen's mindset, has to be judged, a police officer's action legally has to be judged in terms of use of force by what a reasonable officer would do based on the information that the officer had at that time, and not 20/20 hindsight.
Exactly. And that's the caveat that I want to attach to my critique. And yet, when I watched that video, when they had that woman's car stopped and there was a police officer standing with his gun, his service revolver drawn, and he was right behind her left tire. And I'm wondering, why is he not shooting out that tire right now? And then she goes tearing off. But maybe, I'm not a police officer, so I don't know. Jack, thank you for calling and thanks for the clarification. I do appreciate it. Thanks for listening. AM 760 there in Denver.